TNA has somehow pulled off one of the dumbest things I thought they would never do. Earlier this week, they released a handful of people in their front office with Anthem, and one of the big names is Gail Kim. Now, Gail Kim has been working with the company for 14 years. Say that again, 14 years. She was an integral part of the Knockouts division and elevating the Knockouts division to one of the best place for women to go wrestle. A lot of the talent share the same sentiment that we as fans share with, what the hell are they thinking? Gail Kim is a name synonymous with TNA. It's almost hard to think about TNA without Gail Kim. That's how integral she was to even just the company. She was a face of the company for a long time and then took a backstage role and still was a face for the company. That's incredible. And she wasn't running the company. That's not a normal everyday thing. She held many different roles backstage, including producer and talent relations, and still was arguably just as popular as the guy running the show. Now, when TNA let go of Scott D'Amore, I had a feeling we would get more of these releases as the time went on. But Gail Kim is not a name I thought I would see. Now, Anthem has made a statement on the reason for letting Gail Kim go, and it's about as crazy as ever, I guess. The statement reads, personality conflicts with Gail and others backstage, TNA president Carlos Silva, clear vision of how they wanted to run things. Gail didn't agree or want to fall in line. She thought she knew how to run the company better than the people who were above her. Job performance. Knockouts division was severely lacking and wasn't ever replenished. State of the division, nobody excited about the division right now. Which arguably, I could say is a lie. I could say the Knockouts division is just as good. Now, they did lose their big key piece in Jordan Grace to WWE. But with the partnership with WWE, they've been allowed to bring in some fresh faces and change things up. Now, what's crazy is these changes are coming from a guy who apparently is running the show that never wrestled. And we wonder why TNA hasn't been as good. Show's being run by a guy that probably doesn't understand the business. Gail Kim probably understands the business better than anybody. If I were him, I probably would have listened. Carlos Silva is a businessman. He's not a wrestling man. A wrestling man should be running a wrestling company, which is where I really started to see the fall of TNA. When they got rid of Scott D'Amore and introduced Carlos Silva. I don't know what to tell you, because that's a bad move. They're letting Anthem run the show. Now, technically, Anthem does own TNA and can make these decisions. But if they wanted TNA to be successful, why would they do this under Carlos Silva's leadership? And they've lost every single big name talent that they had. Jordan Grace, Motor City Machine Guns. And under his tutelage, if we can call it that, they have lost every major piece that they had. Now, they've got some great wrestlers, right? But losing Jordan Grace, the Motor City Machine Guns, Josh Alexander, and Speedball Mike Bailey is huge. That's massive. They're incredible wrestlers, and any company would be lucky to have them. And TNA had them and couldn't keep them. It just seems like TNA is building itself up to fail, and it doesn't make a lot of sense. In the sports world, you can tank a season for a good draft pick. There is no draft in wrestling. There's no reason to tank a company other than if you're going to sell it. And if TNA sells, it'll likely go to the WWE, which I don't think is a horrible option. But at the same time, it'll be at the point where they bought ECW and WCW, where they pretty much bled everything dry and you're buying a title now. You're buying a company name. This isn't good in any metric. TNA is a needed company in the world of wrestling. There are wrestlers that don't fit in on WWE's roster, just how it goes. And there's wrestlers that don't fit in on AEW's roster, just how it goes. But those people seem to find a good and happy home at TNA, and they're able to be spotlighted and highlighted for their abilities and their talent that they probably wouldn't have at the other two big companies. My fear is that the WWE buys TNA. Not because I don't like the WWE, like there are some anti-Fed pilled marks online who think that TNA being sold to WWE would kill wrestling altogether. That's not the case. I want there to be an equal opportunity for a wrestler to get on TV. The independent scene is great, and I love the independent scene, but you don't grow in popularity on the independent scene. Don't get me wrong. independent scene's great. I'm not knocking the independent scene at all, but very rarely do those companies have TV deals. They might be streamed on Triller TV or something like that, or just go direct to YouTube. But commercial TV is where you're going to make money, where you're going to make a name for yourself. I know plenty of people that would watch wrestling if it was just on TV, and they would love it. I have friends that watched WrestleMania because they didn't have anything else to watch, couldn't think of anything else, and it was on. They turned on Peacock and a big sign that said WrestleMania, and then, well, why not? Blackhawks into it. Well, give it a shot. That's what the indies is missing. TNA gave that opportunity to incredible indie wrestlers to have a place, be on TV. And I think selling to the WWE would be awful. Horrible decision. I would much rather TNA be a standalone company, as well as AEW be a standalone company, and WWE be a standalone company. And, I wouldn't hate them working together. I don't think there's anything wrong with them working together, but I think not having the company is worse than them working together. It's really sad. TNA is nuking itself and hopes to be able to sell it. Anthem is just absolutely nuking TNA. It doesn't make any sense. I'm no businessman, but even in business, you would want the best product put forward. And Anthem has continued to make decisions. It doesn't put the best product forward. And I don't understand it. I'll be sad to see TNA go. I'm sad to see TNA go down this route, much less, sad in the future when inevitably they fail because of the decisions they're making now. This is horrible. And there's a light at the end of the tunnel, especially for Gail Kim, as she doesn't have a no-compete clause. And literally any wrestling company would be happy to pick up Gail Kim with the experience that she's got. Everybody loves Gail Kim. I've never heard a negative thing about Gail Kim. Scott D'Amore has his own wrestling promotion. She may go work with him. She could go to WWE. She could go to AEW. It's one of those the world is her oyster situations where Gail Kim by the end of the week could have a multi-million-dollar job somewhere in one of these companies. And TNA let her slip. And it's just the beginning of a rock slide for TNA. I've even seen that TNA talent is scared about their job if they let Gail Kim go. And rightfully so. This is a crazy thing. And when all this news broke, Anthem's response was just making changes to find out that that's not the case. They fired her because she definitely knew how to run a wrestling business better than somebody who has never been involved in wrestling. It is what it is. It's one of those things you got to put the ego aside and cut your losses on that one. A wrestler knows how to run a wrestling business. Crazy thought. Hear me out. Crazy thought. But maybe a guy that has spent most of his time in fighting and tennis doesn't know how to run a wrestling promotion. I don't know, man. I don't know, but this is the beginning of the downfall of TNA, which is unfortunate. It's sad, and I hate it. I really do. I hate it. I hate it so much. I really enjoy TNA. The product hasn't been the best. It's definitely not near the golden age of TNA when they were putting on killer matches, and you were guaranteed an amazing show every single show. But I don't think they find a way out of this one. They've been resilient, found their way out of a lot of situations, especially with big name talent leaving and having to fill those voids. I don't think they find their way out of this one. I think we'll see more TNA talent leave and go to, TNA or AEW, even Japan probably. TNA is killing itself from the inside, and it's disgusting. It's sad. It's so disappointing. I hate it. I try to stay positive here. There's nothing positive about this. This is bad. Letting Scott D'Amore go was somewhat of kicking a pebble down a rock slide. Now that pebble is making noise. Eventually, you'll have a rock slide that destroys what's in front of it. And TNA is in front of it. Carlos Silva is the reason for all of this. Let us not forget that. Plain and simple. Carlos Silva took over and not been the same since. A lot of people think, oh, they have that partnership with WWE. This partnership's not going to save TNA. I was hopeful that it would help TNA. It would help them. They got some good people working there. They got some real good people working there. Some real talented individuals and people that know the wrestling business. And I thought, hey, getting some fresh faces in might just give them that little bit of kick. Get them to where they need to be. But TNA itself said, oh, no, we'll take ourselves out. Don't worry. We'll keep this 5-year partnership, but at the end of it, we'll probably be dead. So it doesn't really even matter. This is sad. It's a sad day in wrestling. It's a sad event, and I guess we'll just have to see how everything plays out. But yeah, my prediction, TNA will fold within the next 2 years, and it'll be a big loss in the wrestling world. It'll be because of a big company buying out something that they don't know anything about, which is something that happens way too often. You know, when Anthem bought TNA, I was hoping it was going to be sort of like a Smosh situation. If you don't know about Smosh, they sold to a big company and the big company wanted complete control and it failed. Rhett and Link bought Smosh and let them do what they wanted, and it is thriving and now back under the original creators' control. And they are doing great. They're doing amazing. I kind of hope this is that first part of that Smosh story for TNA, where, you know, this company pretty much just drives it into the ground. Somebody else buys it and says, hey, do what you need to do to get back. And eventually somebody who loves the business and loves the company can take it over, buy whoever bought it out, and let it run as its own promotion. That is my hope at this point, because that's about all the hope I have. It's going to be a sad day when we're worried about TNA actually shutting down. Right now, it's just rumors and fear. There will be a day when we have to worry about TNA shutting down, and it's coming soon, unfortunately. But that's going to be it for this one. You know, I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. I haven't seen anybody defend TNA at all in this, so I'm assuming most people probably are on the same thought process I am. But this is not good. This is not good at all. But I'll see you in the next one.